Hey, how's it going, people? It is your boy Johnny, and today we have a new Pokemon video, and we're going to be doing a new series on my channel. And for the first Pokemon that we're going to be doing in this series is Shuckle. Now, Shuckle is a really tank Pokemon. He has the best defense and special defense in the Pokemon games, and that's why I absolutely love to use Shuckle in battles at certain times, or have him in my team just for the heck of it. Now, Shuckle has the highest defense, like I mentioned. The way I run the set for Shuckle is actually a bull nature, because I can increase my defense more on certain times. And I also have this Shuckle with the leftovers or Rocky Helmet. This is up to your personal preference on what you decide to use. If you're going to use a Shuckle, leftovers or Rocky Helmet, either one is good. Rocky Helmet tends to be good as well, because when you're gonna stall your opponent is definitely gonna be trying to hit Shuckle a lot, so that's gonna do a lot of damage in affecting him. So that's a good way to go with it. Or you can have leftovers, which constantly gives Shuckle extra health, and it actually does work. It really does help, but it just continuously each match gives you leftovers, and it seems like your opponent is not even attacking you when you got the leftovers on there. So I recommend either leftovers or Rocky Helmet. Both are great. It's all up to your personal preference on how you wish to use it. Sometimes Rocky Helmet may actually be the good way to go, because Rocky Helmet allows you to like attack your Pokemon attack your opponent's Pokemon and do some damage to him as well. Now, the hidden ability that I have is Contrary. Contrary is actually a good ability to have with Shuckle. It's not necessary, but sometimes your opponents try to use moves where they decrease your stats, and this just increases your stats, and it could even increase your defense or certain stuff for Shuckle. Another thing that I tend to run this Shuckle with is HP 252 and special defense 252 and defense 4. We're gonna rise up the defense, so that's why I have those as well. Now, for the moveset for Shuckle, I usually tend to use Toxic, Infestation, and Shell Smash, and Rest. These moves can be learned through TMs and as well as leveling up. I believe at level 34 he will actually learn Shell Smash, and the rest you can go ahead and use it as TM. Now, one thing I didn't mention was the Contrary ability. You can get this hidden ability throughout the Pokemon games. When you're in the Friend Safari, you can capture one, and you have to breed it with a female Shuckle. So you cannot actually breed this Pokemon if you don't have a female and a male Shuckle. You have to, in order to get this Pokemon in Friend Safari, capture a female one with Contrary and then breed it. So you can, if you want to give it to your friends or get it, or give your friends the Pokemon, so you can have like a Shuckle with Contrary, which is a good thing to have. But it's not necessary if you want to use it with Contrary, but I highly recommend that you use Contrary. Alright, so now we're going to be showing you some footage of a battle that I had with my opponent that did not stand a chance when Shuckle came into battle, because Shuckle was out there just defending himself. Alright, so now that we're going to watch the battle, my opponent decided to take out Mamoswine as his Pokemon, and I took out my Shuckle. Now, the first thing that you want to do when you take out a Shuckle in a battle is obviously set up. You're going to want to go ahead and use Shell Smash to try to set up your Pokemon Shuckle, and for some reason my opponent set up with Stealth Rocks because he thought he was going to actually take out my Shuckle. So you're going to want to go ahead and use Shell Smash, and this will allow your Shuckle to rise up his ability of special defense and as well as defense, but it also takes your other stats down, like attack. It lowers them, but it doesn't really matter when you're actually raising up your defense and all of that good stuff, because in the end you're still gonna have a really bulky, strong Shuckle that will be able to stall your opponent as long as the whole match goes on. Now, as you guys can see, my Shuckle is continuing to use Shell Smash because I'm wanting to set up that Shuckle, at least have at least 4 Shell Smash, or even 3 sometimes, to have Shell Smash on Shuckle, because the defense keeps on going up and up and up. As you guys can see, that attack that the Mamoswine had barely did any damage to my Shuckle. And as you guys can see, leftovers is also working as the item that I'm using, because it's giving me that additional health to my Shuckle, which will give me an advantage later on, because if I'm continuing using Shell Smash and some of these moves that my Shuckle getting attacked by my opponent. For example, that Earthquake is doing really good damage to my Shuckle, but sometimes when you continue using Shell Smash, Shuckle will still be having a higher defense, and that leftovers with that little amount of health could actually help you out later on in the battle. For example, he used Earthquake again. As you guys can see, this time Earthquake is now not really doing that much damage to my Shuckle because I already set it up like 3 times. And of course I'm in the red health bar, but I decided to go ahead and use rest after he used that Earthquake because I knew that my health needed to come back up. But I already set up at least 3 Shell Smash on my opponent, which is good because it's not really going to be doing that much damage to my Shuckle anymore. And my opponent is over here using Earthquake again, which I don't know why he decided to go ahead and use Stealth Rock, because now he's gaining damage every time he uses Earthquake, which is something that actually gave me some sort of advantage in the match. But I'm continuing using Shell Smash. And the next thing that you want to do after even using your rest, if you can pull in another Shell Smash a 4th time, if your Shuckle's not really taking that much damage, I do recommend you pull in another Shell Smash for the 4th time. Other than that, don't do anything else. After you have your Shell Smash already in, or if you don't really need any more, just leave it like that. Even 3 should be fine. I recommend 3 or 4 at most of Shell Smash. I think you can use it at 5, but I think at 5 it doesn't really do anything anymore. Now my opponent here took out his Tapu Koko, which used Taunt, which actually kind of did mess me up because then I can't use Toxic on him. After using the Shell Smash, you want to stall your opponent, but you also want to go ahead and start damaging your opponent. So Toxic is definitely a good moveset to use if you have the chance to use it. If not, you can use Infestation as well. Infestation is good to have because sometimes your opponent is just gonna continually use Taunt, and it won't allow you to use your Toxic or even Rest or Shell Smash. So Infestation is a good time to come into play. Now, as you know, Shuckle isn't the Pokemon that's really hard to defeat. Like, you can defeat Shuckle. Like, even if your opponent, he may have something that may actually defeat him. Like, for example, if he takes out a Pokemon that is not affected by Toxic or Infestation, you're pretty much screwed on Shuckle, and then I would recommend switching him out. But if your opponent is affected by Toxic and Infestation, then you have all the advantage in the match. Especially when they use Haze. As you guys can know, Toxapex is definitely a good counter against Shuckle. If it uses Haze, your whole stats even goes away. So if a Pokemon has Haze, your Shuckle I recommend not using Shuckle throughout the rest of the match, unless it can possibly just be used there as a stall Pokemon. But after that, I don't really recommend using it because Shuckle does have 4 weaknesses, which is Rock, Water, and Steel. And then sometimes those moves do some pretty good damage if you haven't set up your Shuckle, but at the same time they don't really do that much damage if you already set up your Shuckle. So I recommend always setting it up or switching out Shuckle if you see a Pokemon that's just gonna do a lot of damage to it, and try to take him out with another Pokemon. So as you may know, that this Marowak is now taking my Poison, Toxic, and I'm probably going to be using Infestation against it as well in this battle. So that way I can go ahead and already take out his first Pokemon. And you know, even when I'm getting like seriously attacked badly with my Shuckle, I just go back into rest if a Shuckle goes back into the yellow health, because he's using Iron Head, which is definitely an attack that is gonna do a lot of super effective damage on Shuckle because I'm weak against Steel. But as you guys can see, I decided to go in for another Shell Smash to rise up my defense to make his move even weaker. So as you guys can know, that I decided to go ahead and probably rest after this because I'm already on the yellow health bar and there's no point in trying to fight him. I already set up on Marowak with Infestation, and this Marowak is definitely going to go down with Infestation and Poison. It's not going to stand a chance anymore. As you guys can see, that's kind of like what I do sometimes when my opponent tries to take down my Shuckle. I don't know why he didn't continue using Iron, but Flare Blitz did a pretty good attack, but it also does some damage recoil to his opponent. But I decided to go back to rest, and you know, Shuckle is back with that full health bar on the Pokemon, literally. And as you guys can see, the strategy that I'm using, that's pretty much all of the strategy that I'm using for Shuckle. It's not really nothing new to it. It's just basically using Shell Smash and then using Toxic and Infestation, and then if you want to get your health back, Rest. I know that some people decide to use Rocky Helmets or Leftovers. I personally like I said earlier, I like Leftovers because it gives me an additional health, and if Shuckle is only going to be affected by a little bit, and if it's on the red health, sometimes Leftovers even helps you because your opponent is not really doing a lot of damage to Shuckle. And then Rocky Helmet, I could see the advantages of it as well, because then your opponent is gaining like damage on top of that as poisoned or infestation. It could even be gaining some damage. As you can see, my opponent keeps using taunt, and I don't know, it just keeps using taunt, and that kind of does mess me up in using toxic or anything like that. But the good thing about taunt is that after 5 moves, I believe that it wears off and you can start hitting your opponent with any other move again. So he keeps using that. And that's pretty much it. The strategy to Shuckle: use Infestation, use Toxic, and you'll be able to do a really good battle against your opponent and stall. Oh, one more thing that I do recommend using in strategy for Shuckle is that switching out the Shuckle in a battle. For example, if you already set up your Shuckle and you know that the opponent is going to come in with Haze or an attack that's just definitely going to mess up your Shuckles, or even take him down, I recommend just switching him out and then switching into a Pokemon that can counter your opponent's Pokemon and do really good damage. And after you take your opponent's Pokemon out, switch back into Shuckle, because the next Pokemon might not even have a counter for Shuckle, and it'll just allow you to have like that little Shuckle there with an advantage of actually having your opponent to have to try to defeat Shuckle with a Pokemon that doesn't have any counters toward Shuckle. You can have him there as a stall Pokemon to switch out and switch in when you need him. That's what I'm trying to say, basically, and it can really help you in the long run. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comment section what you think about Shuckle, and I'm going to play the rest of the battle. Let me know what Pokemon you would like to see of a moveset that I would personally use in the comment section, and what you think about Shuckle. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and enjoy the rest of the video, and make sure to hit that like button and subscribe.